Jack Shupe, who's entered the City Council race. Jack, thank you for your time this afternoon.
Well, thank you for being here.
So let me start out by asking, when did you and your wife move to Vero Beach?
We bought this home in July of 2007.
And you moved here from?
From Washington, D.C. And our interest in moving to Vero Beach was that my wife has 3 sisters that live here. And so that when she retired, she'd have a lot of sibling company.
Mm-hmm. And you moved here from D.C. where you worked?
From Washington, D.C., where I worked at the National Geographic Society. I was the director of cartography, and I worked there for 33 years and had a very intriguing career. I traveled a lot, and my travel was related to not ground truthing maps, but my travel was related to automating the mapping process. I did literally a worldwide search of finding computer operations, other cartographic houses, so to speak, that had automated their process, and eventually I recommended equipment, purchased it, and we automated our mapping process from conventional to computerized mapping. It was a process that took about 5 years.
How are you finding the political map in Vero Beach, speaking of maps?
Well, first of all, the map of Vero Beach is rather interesting. And in many respects it is political, because the boundary of the city is one thing. The boundary of our utility reach is another thing. And it almost seems like historically, when the city expanded their utility reach to allow the county to build, probably there should have been a discussion about annexing that land. And I think it would have eliminated the outside of the city of Vero Beach customer question right now.
It would.
So it was in that context I find the map of Vero Beach political.
You entered the race last week, late last week?
That's correct.
And near the end of the filing period, and I think it was news to maybe everyone but your wife when you entered the race. So have you been thinking about this a while?
Yeah, I've been thinking it a while, and I wasn't the last one to enter. Somebody entered after I did.
Right.
But yeah, I've been thinking about it. I had run for city council in 2009, and I didn't win. And as time passed, I still had an interest in the city, and I'm serving on a utilities commission now, and I served on the planning and zoning commission. I've always been interested in the community where I live. I live here in Oakmont Park, and I'm the past president of the association here for 2 years. I'm presently on the board as vice president. So I've always had an interest in my community, and I've been volunteering with Orca for the last 2 years with some of their activities, their speaker series that they've done down at the Emerson Center, and I helped set up a 5K walk they did down at Riverside Park. And I have a keen interest in the health of the lagoon. So I don't know, I've always been involved where I've lived. And I thought now would be a good time to hopefully get on the city council, and we can maybe get some things going in the city that need attention.
Because the power sale issue is before the courts, or in mediation likely to go to court, and before the PSC, and because members of the Utilities Commission and the City Council aren't supposed to speak much about that under the circumstances, this is Rosie.
This is Rosie. Can she sit here or not?
She sure can.
By the way, she likes the dog park.
Yeah. She's
Thanks to all that were involved in that.
Happy with the new dog park.
She loves the dog park.
So let's set that issue aside for now and talk about the other issues and opportunities facing the city from your perspective. What do you see? What are the biggest challenges the city faces?
Well, I look at two challenges in particular, and both of them are regional challenges, but they need to be addressed by the city. One being the health of the lagoon, and the other being the impact of all aboard Florida. Vero Beach has already demonstrated some leadership in some of the things we've done, as the council has done for the lagoon, as far as our fertilizer ordinance, and looking into, we're presently looking into the sewage test with the backdrafting idea, and yet those problems are only going to be solved by the other cities and counties that are on the border of the lagoon. But it's so I have a keen interest in anything we can do to protect the lagoon. The other regional issue that I mentioned is all aboard Florida. There's still so much not known about it, but it clearly, to me, it impacts the whole coast of Florida, from Miami all the way up and going into a bit of central Florida, going into Orlando. But it impacts so many cities, and we don't know the schedule, we don't know the rate of trains, we don't know how many freight trains will be added, we don't know how long the crossings will be closed. And again, we've got to figure out a way. I only can work with the city of Vero Beach, but the council has got to work with other cities and with other counties, and there's got to be a regional consensus of either being for or against the railroad. I'm presently, from what I've read and what I've seen, and Ken Daig has done an outstanding job on our All Aboard Florida Commission looking at the issue. But from what I've picked up, I don't hear a whole lot of positive answers for me. I think the impact to our city is going to be, at the moment, devastating.
Mm-hmm. Devastating.
Yeah.
So those are two regional issues. Looking at the city and even the county, the relationship between the two, as you know, the county's brought a PSC suit against the city, but they're trying to work together in some other ways. There was a presentation last week made by the county utilities director to the city, updating the city council on the county's efforts to increase recycling rates. But a part of that presentation included a proposal that the city join with the county in bidding for outsourcing, if you will, solid waste pickup. The city has its own utility. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I pay monthly for that utility. The trash collection here is second to none of any place I've ever lived. I have trash collection twice a week. They come right up to the side of the house and pick up the can. The workers are the most pleasant people you'll ever meet. Well, I think on 3 occasions in 7 years they've missed a pickup, and it might be because a new employee came along. And one phone call, and there's a truck out there in 15 minutes to pick up your trash. The service is second to none. It provides a profit, annual profit, that goes into the general fund. And I, for one, would not want to do anything to get rid of it. I think it should remain a city utility.
You followed the budget debates, budget discussions and debates the last 2 or 3 year budget cycles. There's always been a discussion about how much to cut from the city's budget and how those cuts might impact the level of services. What have been your thoughts watching that debate go on the last several years?
Well, believe it or not, I have a positive reaction. I'm really surprised how well the council and the respective managers of the different departments in the city have done with keeping our taxes down and making individual sacrifices, and yet we've managed to maintain our level of service. I think it's Um, I don't put it in the miracle category, but it certainly has been, I think they've done an excellent job keeping our services up. You know, our water, our sewer, our trash collection. I for one, that's been the strong suit of the city from day one, and I would not like to see those things be taken over by someone else. I don't see any reason to lose them.
Including the water and sewer.
Including the water and sewer.
How about recreation programs? There's been some tightening of the belt there. What's your thought about a municipality providing recreation programs? How important is that?
Well, it's very important, and I think it's got to be, again, the director of recreation. He must have cloned himself. I don't know how he does all of that single-handedly, but Rob does an excellent job, and you get a lot of positive feedback from the citizens about recreation, and a lot of things they do are not seen when there's an event that goes on at Memorial Park, whether it be Veterans Day or Labor, whatever event goes on, even the recent World War II memorial or remembrance. And if you're standing there in that crowd, you look around, you see the Parks and Recreation trucks over on the side, and they're the ones setting everything up, and they're the ones taking everything down. And events all over the city, they are right there, and I don't know how they do what they do with their limited staff. And I know they have a lot of volunteer efforts, and I would not like to see that department shaved anymore.
Looking at the city's budget challenges, the pension obligations underfunded, for example, what steps do you think the city could take to shore up its long-term obligation issues?
Well, I think I didn't get mired down in the details of this, but I think in the case of retirement, I think the city has got to reshape the benefits package. I think it's got to include 401k. And the nice thing about a 401k, the long-time employee can receive a little more of a way in the way of a matching fund from the city, but the total cost of the city is dramatically less than trying to fund a full retirement. And you know as well as I do, retirement funds are all over the country in the corporate world are just going by the wayside. Matter of fact, where I work, they don't have a retirement fund anymore. It's only a 401k. So I would lean towards a gradual change, and it's, I guess the way I'd put it is like fiscal responsibility, but not at the expense of a hard, dedicated worker who's put in 25 or 30 years. We can't just shut the door on that person.
What would be your priorities as a council member? What would you hope to accomplish? What would you focus on?
Well, I told you earlier that my initial, two things I'm really interested in are all the matters related to getting that lagoon back to health. And I've seen it change just in my 7 years of being here. I've seen the dramatic change. The other issue I told you was the All Aboard Florida. And I want to do whatever I can as a council member, or however we get that issue to the table, to work on it. And as far as entering the race, I'm coming to the table without a personal agenda. I don't come in with a champion one particular issue. I think it's important for the city to be able to approach us and let their ideas and their major concerns percolate up through the system and come to us in the way of individual contact to get things on the agenda, or at the public podium, at council meetings, but I really think it's time to do a little more listening to the city. And so I don't come in waving a flag of one particular thing. You elect me and I'm going to do A, B, and C. I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve the people.
Well, I appreciate your time today, Jack, and I wish you well in your campaign.
Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Okay.
Thank you.